Our video feed is being recorded. Good afternoon. The Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals is now in session for the regularly scheduled meeting of August 4th, 2022. This time I'd ask everyone to please either turn off or silence your cell phone. I'm Elizabeth Waits, and as a member of the code staff, I'll be introducing cases on public hearing today by presenting the board with maps, photos, and site plans for each of the subject properties. The information I present, as well as the applications, recommendations from other government agencies, and any letters we've received from members of the public in support or opposition to the request, have been provided to the board members for review in advance of today's meeting. We have a few preliminary announcements that we'd like to go through before we get started with our docket. We have one case that's been withdrawn. That is case 2022-76, which was a request for a side setback variance for a rear structure at 716 Setliff Place in the R6 zoning district. Please be advised if you're only here today on that case is no longer being heard. One other announcement, case 2022-91. That was a case that was on public hearing at our last meeting on July 21st, asking for to pay the in lieu fee instead of building a sidewalk at 2430B Little Avenue. And that case is being deferred for one meeting. So if you're here in follow-up of that case on Little Avenue, then please note that our next meeting, which is on August 18th, will be back at the Sunny West building. So if you intended to view that meeting, if that was why you're here today, then please meet us back there on August 18th at our regular location at the Sunny West Conference Center at 800 2nd Avenue South. We do have a consent agenda today as well. There are 3 cases that are proposed for the consent agenda. Those cases have been reviewed with the chair and recommended for full board approval. However, if there's any opposition to the cases by members of the public, or if any of the board members would instead wish for one of those cases to be heard, then please let us know, and we'll be happy to hear that case in its regular order on the docket. The cases that are proposed for our consent agenda today are case 2022-99, case 2022-101, and case 2022-102. I'm going to go ahead and read through the captions on each of those cases, and then I'll ask if there's any opposition present to any of those. Case 2022-99 is a request for a special exception from the street setback requirements for property located at 932 4th Avenue South in the CS zoning district. Street setback for CS is 15 feet. Applicant is seeking to dedicate an additional amount of right-of-way on both McCann and 4th Avenue and build a new structure there. Is there anyone here in opposition to that case? I don't see any, Mr. Chair. You have a better view, but I don't see any.
I don't see any.
Okay. And I would just like to note for the record that case, if the board is in agreement to the motion to approve on consent, then this case does have a few conditions that have been requested by planning and NDOT. Basically, that those agencies both did agree and receive consent from the applicant regarding those right-of-way dedications, and also NDOT requests that there be no head-in parking on 4th Avenue, and so we would include those conditions in the order, subject to the board's approval. The next case on the consent agenda is case 2022-101. This is a request for a variance from the drive aisle width requirements for property located at 905E 12th Avenue South, 12th Street, not 12th Avenue South, totally different part of town. It's in East Nashville at 905E 12th Street in the RM20 zoning district. A 24-foot drive aisle is required, and the applicant is seeking to construct a driveway with a width of 12 feet. Is there anyone here in opposition to that case? Okay, seeing none. The final case on consent today that we would recommend is case 2022-102. This is a request for a variance from the street setback requirements for property located at 1007 and 1009 Potter Lane, which is in the R10 zoning district. The contextual setback is 54 feet, and the applicant is seeking to build at a 40-foot setback. Is there anyone present in opposition to that case?
Nope.
Okay, seeing none, then we would ask the board to recommend a motion to approve the consent agenda items, please.
Make a motion. Approve.
Seconded. With the conditions that are.
Yeah, with conditions that were on the, is that the first one or the second one? You said the
First.
That was, the conditions go on case 99.
99,
Yeah.
correct. Okay.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Aye, okay. That passes 5-0.
All right.
Okay, thank you. So for everyone of the applicants who just had their matter approved on consent today, please note that you'll still need to follow up with our office and finish obtaining your building permit within 2 years. Our office will reach out to you with a copy of the board's order that will be entered today. Before we start calling through the agenda, I haven't seen any current council members present. Do you see any council members that we should ask if they wish to be heard at this time?
I don't see any.
Okay.
Are there any council members that would like to be heard? Nope.
And so for the remaining items on today's agenda, we'll start calling through the public hearing docket now. For contested matters, applicants will have 10 minutes to make their presentation to the board, and that time should be noted to include anyone who the applicant wishes to be heard in support of their case as well. And also, the applicant may reserve some of their 10 minutes to provide rebuttal testimony after the opposition testimony has been presented. After the applicant has made their presentation, parties in opposition to the case will have 10 minutes jointly combined together for anyone who's present in opposition. And then if the applicant has reserved their rebuttal period, then they would also offer rebuttal prior to the board deliberating and making a determination about that case. Everyone is advised that providing false or misleading testimony is prohibited. After the close of the public hearing, the board will discuss the case and take a vote. The Metropolitan Code requires 4 votes to grant or deny an application. If a motion fails to receive 4 concurring votes, the matter will be put back on the next board docket for consideration by any additional members who are unavailable. Once a vote's taken on your application, a party who disagrees with the outcome may request a rehearing within 60 days. Parties may also request the decision, or may appeal the decision to the Davidson County Chancery Court by filing a writ of certiorari within 60 days. All parties are encouraged to seek independent legal counsel before filing an appeal to ensure that all deadlines and procedures are followed. For applications that are granted today, you're also reminded that you'll have 2 years from the decision to complete your building permit. As we call the cases up, applicants will come forward first, as we mentioned, and then the opposition. And just please note that you would state your name and your address before you start making your presentation. And I should also note that any cases that do not have opposition present, the applicant will have 5 minutes to make a presentation. The first case on our docket for hearing today is case 2022-81. This is a request for a variance from the street setback and visibility triangle to construct a monument sign along South New Hope Road. Subject property is located at 3024 Wiltshire Park Place within an SP zoning district. The Planning Department has recommended approval with the condition that the final site plan for the sign be approved by Planning and NDOT prior to issuance of the permit. NDOT recommends approval with the condition that the hanging sign not be located above the sidewalk nor impede visibility for vehicles exiting Wiltshire Park Place. And NDOT also reserves the right to require a stamped site distance exhibit prior to construction of the sign. At this time, I will show the board the slides, and then we'll ask our applicant to come forward and make their presentation. Here we have the zoning map of this district, an aerial photo, I believe, actually, I didn't realize that I have an old picture of the site plan, so please ignore that photo on the right. The photos on the left it has been a modified site plan after planning and NDOT continued to work with the applicant. So the sign on the right isn't the proposed sign anymore. I apologize for that. But the photos on the left are the current photos of this site. There's a closer picture that would have had a mock-up of the original site plan. These are just some angles that show kind of the visibility there at that intersection. Here's a photo of the subdivision across the street. There are some signage posted for that subdivision. Just a reminder of our visibility triangle. It extends 35 feet in each direction along the street line from the corner. It's kind of a mock-up. It's not to scale. Just kind of a reminder of what that would look like here on this property. Again, that's the old site plan. I think what I'm going to do is pull up the new photos. If the applicant would like to go ahead and come forward, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my memory on making sure I've got the current plans pulled up.
Sir, before you start, is there opposition here to this case? Is anyone in opposition to this case we're talking about now? Okay, so you will have 5 minutes, no opposition.
Do I have that? This is the one that I was looking for. Okay, I'm sorry. Control. Print. Yes, if you'd like to go ahead and get started, I'll let the applicant go ahead and get started. Do you have anything that you wanted to hand to the board?
Just got deferred.
Copy if they'd like to look at these.
Okay, that is in their packet, and in order to give copies to them today, we would actually need enough copies for each board member, but that information is in their packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like me to see it?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting us appear in front of you today. My name is Randy Sexton, S-E-X-T-O-N. I'm land manager for Landmark Homes of Tennessee. My address is 6064 Central Pike, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, 37122. As Elizabeth had mentioned, that's a picture of the old submittal that we had made. We were looking to do something similar to a Stonehenge look. We have since changed that to go with a standard 5x5 column that will have a yard arm with a sign, and I believe you have that in your packet.
Can you hold that picture up that
Yes,
way
sir.
we can all find it in our packet? Okay,
It's this one here,
perfect. Okay, thank you.
5x5 stone. Okay. In resubmitting that, we actually moved the column out of the site triangle and out of the right-of-way. And again, I believe you have another drawing that shows that as well, highlighted in blue and red. That's the proposed entry monument there that's shown. Quite a bit different than our original submittal. So the yard arm holding the sign will actually, it'll be double-sided and will face New Hope Road and will not be above the sidewalk. The sidewalk will actually extend in front of that. Okay. The column itself is approximately 9.5 feet tall with a metal roof constructed of stone and cedar with a HDU sign hanging from ornamental iron. And I will welcome and answer any of your questions you might have.
Okay, well, thank you. Any questions, board members?
Said your hardship is because of the biopond that's there and some of the topography with that, is that?
Our original hardship was because of that. We're actually behind the biopond and the head wall now.
Okay.
Before we had to, our original submittal, we were much closer to New Hope, and we've since done away with that design altogether.
Any Further questions from the applicant? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and discuss. Thank you.
Thank you.
Might want to stay there just in case. Sometimes we reopen and sometimes we think we forget we have questions, so. So Ms. Waits can confirm on this, but as my understanding is that if we approve this variance, it still has to go to NDOT, and they have to bless it too, and they can still require modifications if they want, if they don't think this is compatible with the sight line. Is that correct?
Yes, and I'll open Mr. Hargis's microphone too, because he's certainly more familiar with the permitting process and the approvals from NDOT. NDOT has asked that the board specifically approve conditions that they have the opportunity to review it as well.
Well, and as part of the permit, we'll track NDOT and Planning Commission as part of the sign permit requirement, and adopt in the caption whatever conditions that NDOT places on it.
So if they make changes, it won't have to come back to us?
No, sir, as long as they're not substantive, bringing it closer to the road or something like that. But
With the sign like is shown, is the setback measured from the front of where it hangs out to, or from the base of the column?
we'll go from the leading edge of that sign, whether
Okay.
it's the column or the sign itself, the closest point of the structure to the right of way.
Well, I also note the council person for that district is okay with it. I believe there was maybe one letter of opposition, as I recall, but we're limited to just giving the variance for the setback. And I'm glad that we don't have to worry about the sight line, because I'm certainly not competent to figure all that out. So I'm okay with the variance for the
We
setback.
got two people that are competent to figure.
Well, I know. That's why I specifically said, I did not say the board. I said I. There is I think that biopond does constitute a hardship, but
Yeah.
so, well, I'll make a motion to approve it with the conditions that planning has put on it, which are that
Can we ensure that there was no one in attendance that was wanting to speak in opposition? I'm not sure if I actually called for that, because I was trying to fix my, okay, thank you.
But I can call again. Is there anybody that is in opposition? Okay. No.
Okay, thank you. I was afraid I made a mistake on that.
So the conditions that are recommended by planning are that that the sign permit to be reviewed by Metro Planning, and the applicant shall also submit site distance exhibits to NDOT for review and approval. So those would be the two conditions on my motion.
And it's not above the sidewalk. That's one of the things that was mentioned.
Pardon me?
One of the conditions was not above the sidewalk. Is that
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it to be above the sidewalk.
it's not shown currently to be, but that was one of the.
I can put that condition on there. That's a good catch. I didn't.
I'll second it with that condition on there.
Okay, so the added condition will be that the sign, you're talking about obviously the yard arm part. not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
above the sidewalk.
yeah.
Okay, good catch. I didn't. Okay, so those are the three conditions.
Seconded.
Second, okay, all in favor? Oh, well, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No opposed, so that passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Our next case is a case where we hadn't heard from members of the community prior to today, so I had recommended it for consent. I'm just basically making these slides visible again on our slide deck. And then I'll start that presentation. This is case 2022-96. It's a request for a special exception to permit a dog kennel at 5815 Charlotte Avenue in the CS zoning district. The planning department has recommended approval. Here's a map of the zoning district. This is in the CS zoning district. This is an aerial photo of that area. This is a map confirming the minimum distance requirements for the parcel under this zoning condition. Here's a front-facing view of the property and some views from the street line. This is the applicant's site plan. This is a graphic that was submitted by the applicant that addresses the conditions, and it was in your packet. I'd be happy to pull it back up if the applicant wishes. This is some text regarding that section, the findings that the board needs to make to approve this kennel. Is there anyone here in opposition? Okay. You'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation after the applicants come forward, and they have 10 minutes to make their presentation. The applicant may also reserve some of that time to rebut the opposition testimony. If you please come forward and state your name and address before you get started. Thank you.
And for the record, there are two people in opposition here. A lady in the back raised her hand. So you get 10 minutes to get between you. So I don't know if y'all have discussed. You might want to take a minute if you want to divide up your time. But you don't get 10 minutes apiece. They don't get 10 minutes apiece each. You get 10 minutes total.
All right. Dave Atkins, president of Yardstick Opco, Inc. I'm non-local, but my address for the record is 1319 Trapp Lane, Winnetka, Illinois, 60093.
And I'm David York. I'm a resident of Nashville. My address is 920 20th Avenue South, 37203.
Great. Okay. As mentioned, right, we're here seeking a zoning special exception to allow for an animal boarding facility at 5815 Charlotte Pike, which is currently zoned commercial services. To clarify, the subject property is the easternmost 3/4 of the freestanding building at this address, so 6,000 of the building's 8,000 square feet. And the property we're referring to shares a demising wall with a restaurant, Best of India, who leases the remaining 2,000 square feet from our landlord. After reviewing the codes for animal boarding facilities, Title 17, 16070, we believe this property and our concept will be in compliance with said codes. You've seen the table in our supplemental materials. Obviously, it was up on the screen as well. But the one code worth calling out in particular is setback, which states no part of any building or structure in which animals are housed shall be closer than 200 feet, and no kennel run should be located within 100 feet from any existing residence. By our estimate, that the nearest resident on O'Brien Avenue is over 240 feet or so from the property. Finally, beyond the rationale laid out in the table, since completing the obligations of the appeal process, the exterior signage requirement, sending mailers and hosting a community meeting, we've yet to receive any negative feedback nor opposition from our neighbors. There are also no attendees at our community meeting on July 19th. We're excited to bring our differentiated dog hospitality offering to West Nashville and believe it'll be particularly well received by neighboring residential areas like Sylvan Park, The Nations, Whitebridge, Hillwood, and Belmead. And with that, open it up for questions.
So in looking at the diagram, I guess you call it where the roof is off and exploded, so the only part that's open to the outside that looks like it's the green AstroTurf part?
Correct, the yard, which is on
that other big run over to the right, just to confirm, that's roof, the roof will be over there.
That's the existing restaurant.
Can you speak into the microphone,
Sorry,
please?
that's the existing restaurant, is I think what you're referring to, on the far right of the building?
Well, I'm looking at I think I'm looking at your, looks like that is the existing building, okay.
Yeah, that's the restaurant, so we've left that.
With the blue with the blue awning out there, that's where the restaurant is on the.
Exactly right.
Well, I missed that because I seems curious that they have that outdoor area in AstroTurf. I figured that was for.
Then maybe we're talking about the wrong sides, but the left side of the building, if you're facing the property, so there's kind of an open space which is playrooms, but that's covered. And then to the easternmost side of the building, there's a narrow yard which is fenced with AstroTurf.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, there we are.
Okay, I'm following you. Okay,
Yeah,
so
no,
the
there we
restaurant
are.
is just the part that, I got
Yep.
you, yeah, okay.
So, as I understand this correctly, the restaurant doesn't have any objection whatsoever of you guys being there with your,
So, the restaurant is a tenant of our future landlord, and there's nothing in their existing lease, there's no restrictions, right, in the lease or prohibited uses, and they haven't voiced any concern to the landlord.
that's what I was more
Yeah.
looking at.
They haven't.
They have not complained.
They have not complained. That's right.
What will you be doing to buffer the noise between the restaurant and your facility?
Yeah, so there's a demising wall, right? And then, our concept, we have drop ceilings throughout all the suite areas. And so we've intentionally, if you look at the diagram, the play areas are on the easternmost side of the building away from the restaurant, right? And that's typically where you'd have the most noise, right, when the dogs are socializing during the day.
Right, but what are you doing to that demising wall? Setbacks or?
We do,
Yeah.
we do have insulation there. We're not sure exactly how much of a gap we're going to do for sound insulation there. We're completing one, or under construction right now, one location in Berry Hill.
Berry Hill.
And we're testing out a few things with an acoustical company and with our contractors right now. But there are plenty of solutions on that side. The front portion there where you see the two small rooms, those are offices. And then, so that's where the dining room line is. And then our dog areas where the suites are in the back abuts the kitchen where there's already noise and their restroom there too. So we planned it that way. It's a low volume concept. This is an all suite high-end dog hotel that has fewer dogs paying more money and getting much better service.
Dogs are dogs, though. They'll make noise.
Yeah.
it's 24/7 for the dogs being there?
Yes,
And we're staffed 24/7.
that's right.
Around the kennel areas, or around the kennel runs on the outside, the yard area, what kind of fencing are you looking at around those and the dumpster enclosure?
Yeah, so, it's interesting, when looking at the codes, there's nothing about exercise yards specific to the animal boarding facility codes, but we looked at the veterinary codes, which requires a 6-foot-high opaque fence. Ours will be at least 8 feet, right? You just need a higher fence to ensure dogs can't get over, but it'll be opaque.
Yeah, opaque.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Further questions? Okay. You may have some time left for rebuttal.
Sure.
We can let you know on that, so thank
Great.
you. And if y'all will step back and we'll let the opposition come up and speak.
Hello, I'm Amanda McDowell. I live at 2601 Hillsborough Pike, apartment P4, 37212. I've never attended a zoning meeting before, but, or really opposed anything. I do actually eat frequently, though, at Best of India, and have supported their small business for a long time. And I'm not here, like, representing them in any way. I'm just a regular customer. I do, my main concern would be the noise and what that may do to their business. I know you can insulate it, and hopefully that would maybe be enough, but at the same time, dogs bark a lot, and they're loud, and I just think that that could be detrimental to their dine-in customers if there are dogs barking. So I love dogs, but mine are loud, and when you get them all in a room or in rooms together, so.
Does the restaurant, do you know if it has any outdoor seating, or is it all inside?
I think it's all inside.
Okay. Is it generally kind of a quiet restaurant, or is it pretty loud and bustling?
It's generally, I mean, I would describe it as pretty quiet.
Okay.
You know, obviously if there's a lot of people in there and they're chattering or whatnot,
Sure, yeah.
but it's not like, you know, like a bar or a restaurant that's playing really loud music to where you might not notice it as much. I think they, I know they said that they had not complained to the landlord or expressed any concern. I think they seemed like to me that they were unaware until recently as to what the proposed plans were, and I'm not sure that they necessarily automatically thought about the implications that it could have to their business. But when I talked to, you know, just some of the waiters that I see regularly, they did kind of seem concerned about it, but they may, you know, they may not want to lose their lease or complain, or, you know, there's all kinds of reasons why you might not complain to your landlord about the business that may be going in next to you. So I just, you know, try to support small business and whatnot, and I would hate to see that be detrimental for them.
What, on a typical night, how many people would be in there eating, say, around 6 to 8 o'clock, if you're aware, and you may not be?
I'm not aware. It's, I don't know, I mean.
And I know you're not the restaurant, but
Right,
I
yeah.
understand that.
So
But
it's
you're a
hard to.
patron of it. So-
Right.
Okay.
You know, at 6 o'clock, I'd say maybe there's, you know, 10, 20 people in there, maybe a little bit more. You know, it's not a real big space, but, you know, and at lunch, I think they do a pretty decent lunch business during the week. I know during the pandemic, they have done quite a bit of takeout, like, you know, as many businesses have, but I think they still do have a pretty decent, you know, dine-in customer base.
Questions?
I personally just believe that doggy daycares should probably be standalone buildings to really have like adequate, you know, like barrier from noise. Like I think just having them attached to other businesses is questionable. So.
Actually going to ask a question of our esteemed fill-in legal counsel. Are there any additional regulations about having a doggy daycare type place right next to? I mean, you saw my looks when I was looking at you when they were talking about what they're going to do. I'm just.
I mean, anything would still have to comply with whatever the health department puts on them. So they're still going to have to.
So we're going to have that stipulation on no matter what we do, and healthful. Okay.
Any further questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I believe the gentleman in the back had a. Is the time remaining 1:37?
That's the actual time. That's the time.
Actual time. Okay, that would be
You're
right.
having fun.
Yeah.
Just how it flies.
There's 8 minutes.
Eight minutes remaining, so you have 8 minutes, sir.
Hi, my name is Charles. I live 601 North DuPont Avenue over in Madison. I've never actually attended one of these before, but I'm here for opposition towards the kennel. As a dog owner for a long time, most of my life actually, the situation in which this kennel will be at doesn't look right. There's no open grass area for them to run and have fun with. Yes, they're going to make an AstroTurf play area, but they're going to be in the same small stretch for, 8, 12, 16 hours a day? They need more open activity area. With it also being right next to the restaurant, I also feel that's going to be kind of a conflict. Usually you don't want to have dogs outside barking and possibility of the smell of the fecal matter and stuff right next to where you're eating. You're also going to have the dogs pretty much confined in this one enclosed area the whole time they're there, just a couple of hours out in this little stretch. Now, I don't know if you ever had a dog in an apartment complex, but not having an open space to play, they get cooped up, they get crazy.
Questions from this gentleman or this gentleman? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, and you all still have some rebuttal time remaining if you would like to respond to the comments. Oh, did you want to speak too? I'm so sorry. There's one more person who would like to speak in opposition. You all probably know Scott Davis.
Some rebuttal time to the applicant.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a difficult decision, but as a person that supported the building of doggy daycares, and as a dog owner, I just lost my four-legged son not too long ago. Had Milo for 10 years. You know, he was a Shelby Park Terrier. That's what we call the mixed breeds. But I eat at Best of India. My sister-in-law is Indian, and as family, you know, we've eaten there a few times. And like the young lady said, they didn't really know what was happening. And it's tough. You're not going to speak against your landlord's pocket. You know, and I'm not representing the restaurant at all, not at all. But when rezoning for doggy daycares or asking BZA, I've asked for one at a freestanding building on a corner of Dickerson and Queen Avenue, right next to the post office, which was a freestanding building, and we supported that. I came and I spoke, and there was another one that we did in East Nashville off of Gallatin Road, once again, a freestanding building, not connected to another business, and certainly not connected to another business that's serving food. And recently, I didn't see the board results, and if I say this wrong, I apologize. In my former district, you know, where I still live, 918 Thomas Avenue is my address if you didn't catch it. There was a rezoning last meeting for 1213 and 1226 Dickerson Pike. I believe the old Haley Salvage Building. That's a standalone without a restaurant next door. And so there's a reason why most doggy daycares I've seen, Dogtopia and a few others, they're standalone buildings away from other restaurants. And, you know, they may be close to another business, but they're their own building, they have plenty of space outside for the dogs to run, and maybe some indoor in case it rains. So maybe they need a better plan or something. I really feel terrible speaking against these nice people, but all the doggy daycares that have been approved previously, I may be wrong because, you know, there's been a lot of cases come, but the one that you approved last week or last meeting was a freestanding. You know, the old Haley Salvage Building on Dickerson Road, corner of Douglas and Dickerson Road, is a freestanding building. It has 4 addresses, but it's always Haley Salvage. It's huge. And also the one that we approved 3 years ago at the BZA on the corner of Queen Avenue and Dickerson Road, which is right next to the Dickerson Road post office when you get past that Sonic. It was a freestanding building, and I had no issue. I came to the BZA, I supported. John Michael and Mr. Garrison were very nice, and that's it. I mean, thanks for listening to me, folks, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Oh, yeah, for the record, councilperson, can you identify yourself? We didn't get you on the record doing that, so.
Nevada, Scott Davis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we heard from a few different community members, so I just want to, take the time to address each of their concerns sort of one by one. So the first one, which you've heard a couple times now, is concern about maybe the impact to our neighbor Best of India. To clarify, right, we're here with the approval from our landlord, who is Best of India's landlord, to pursue this special exception. What I'll say is it is certainly not our intent to harm or impair their restaurant in any way. And, we'd obviously work in good faith to make sure they're comfortable with us as a neighbor and that it works for our landlord as well. The second gentleman spoke about, not being adequate play area for dogs. So a couple things there. So, while the yard is small and narrow, we have very large, 3 very large play rooms. We're sort of going above and beyond, investing in the special canine-specific padded flooring, which most boarding and daycare facilities do not do. There's certainly nothing in the codes requiring sort of outdoor space for dogs, but it's, for us, we think it's really important to have outdoor space, which is why we're making the investment in the yard, and with the understanding that may raise concerns with our neighbors, right? I think any notion that the dogs are going to be holed up in a confined space all day is not at all the case. We'll have large playrooms, we have a sofa lounge, we'll have yard access, and we'll have very spacious suites as well. And then the last comment was just about boarding and daycare businesses typically being in standalone buildings. We don't disagree, that is true. Like our first location that we're building out as we speak in Berry Hill is a standalone building. That's certainly always the goal, but there's nothing in the code, that is, to our knowledge, that requires a boarding or daycare business to be in a standalone building, which is why we're here, seeking this special exception for the property in question. Anything I missed? Okay.
Well, I'd just like to add one point. I'm a minority owner of this, but I've been in this business, and I've actually owned restaurants and owned dog facilities. And in Atlanta, I had one that was, side by side to a restaurant I owned. We know how to mitigate any damages here. We certainly would be, want to help with the restaurant to make sure they're not impacted by this. But we have some great knowledge of how to address these concerns.
Yeah, ask a couple questions. I'm just going to go into specifics now if we can. What's the closest residence to this particular location of yours?
Yeah, by our assessment, it was 5649 O'Brien Avenue, which is on the...
How about giving me feet? I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, it was roughly 240 feet was by our...
And that's the only residence that you're aware of is that close?
That's right.
Okay, I'm going through I'm ticking off the items that we have to have and
absolutely,
for you to be able to legally have it.
Understood.
You've got heating and cooling, correct?
Yes, of course.
All right. And you did say it was high end, so you got the pampered pets in there, guys, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, so cages, we call them suites. They're spacious. They're either 5 foot by 4 foot with 6 feet tall.
Then obviously each one of the suites has got water. It's got where the dog can do whatever the dog or small pet needs to do, right? Kind of, sort of.
To drink water, yes, but we do not have drains in each suite. The dogs will be taken to the yards.
Out to do whatever.
Correct.
Okay. And you do have the waste disposal that meets the criteria that they've set forth for us. You're not going to store it there and compost it.
The codes require it to be picked up one time weekly. We'll do it at least that.
Okay.
A couple times probably.
And then you've got one space per 400 feet. So you meet that criteria.
That's correct.
So you meet all of the criteria that our council has told us we have to have in considering and approving. So I'm just making sure the law allows you to do what you're trying to do today.
That's right.
And our lobby is on the left side. I mean, we designed it that way to keep, not to have the dogs around the door of the restaurants too. I mean, just so the businesses, furthermore, don't interfere with each other.
But there are some, it looks to me like there are some of the individual doggy rooms there that do adjoin the restaurant there. I mean, you have some office space in the front, correct?
That's right.
Here's another question for you. Have you signed a lease yet, or is the lease going to be contingent on getting BZA approval?
The latter.
BZA approval?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you anticipate getting a tenant build-out allowance, or is this all going to be on?
No, it'll be on our dollar.
It looks like you've done some preliminary design work on this. Has there been a discussion of any SDC-rated assembly between sound transmission class for the non-architects out there? It's a
fill us in here,
SDC is a rating system for sound transmission from one side of the wall to another, and they're a numbered system, and so each wall assembly has a SEC rating that, you say you put this amount of insulation and drywall, you get this rating to limit that transmission. Have you discussed that at all with the architect or any kind of level of that?
Yeah, before incurring, expense like that, we wanted to come to the board.
Okay. My other question was, I guess kind of the building temperature, it looks like the outdoor areas are not shaded at all. Is that correct?
No, this is not, but they're tall fences.
Sure.
Right on.
Well, my question is how do you propose to, AstroTurf can get pretty darn hot. If you ever played on a turf field, it's like 20 degrees hotter on there, especially with the animals. How might you
Great question.
make sure that stays cool?
So we have hoses for one, and then for two, I mean, our model is not one where the dogs are out playing in the yards all day. If it were, we would need a substantially larger yard. So most of the play takes place in the playroom, and then the yard is really for bathroom breaks to get fresh air.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Oh, actually, I do have one more question. Would you be opposed to providing some sort of shade for at least a portion of that yard space? That was a condition, possibly?
We're more than happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all. We will close the public hearing and discuss. Let me ask you, and I see where the applicant has given us, which was good of them. They organized it for us, the conditions for the special exception. Isn't there one also that generally covers special exceptions that it can't deleteriously affect neighboring properties? Or I think that's usually one of the general ones that's thrown in for special exceptions. Is that?
Yes, you're referring to 1716 150, the general provisions for special exceptions.
Right.
Let's see. The public health, safety, and welfare shall be protected. It shall not adversely affect other property in the area to the extent that it will impair the reasonable long-term use of those properties. Yeah, and one thing that I did want to point out, because the adjacent, the adjoining restaurant was discussed, and there's also a church on the other side of the building, closer to where that run would be. So just with respect to your questions regarding the run.
Thank you. Well, I think it is, I do have concerns about, I'm not an architect, so I don't know a lot about soundproofing, but I think it's legitimate that people are concerned about there being, and it wouldn't take, I mean, no matter how crowded the restaurant is, if you had two people in there trying to enjoy it and they heard a dog barking the whole time, they're probably not going to come back. Not that that's going to happen if it's done correctly. And also, I mean, to me, some of this may need to fall on the landlord, because landlords like to rent space and get people in. And I don't know who the landlord is, so I'm not casting any aspersions. But, once tenants are in and paying, things kind of stay the same sometimes. So I'd like to hear what y'all, to me, some kind of condition that would ensure that this doesn't get off the ground and the leases get signed, and then the restaurant folks are going to the landlord, and the landlord's, again, I don't know who the landlord is, but sometimes landlords, once people are in, they're in. If they're getting the check, they put things off, so.
And I was going to say, and I definitely want to hear what the design professionals say on that regard, because that was what I was concerned about. But I was also concerned about, normally when we hear a special exception, the property owner is the one that sort of is asking. And because special exceptions typically run with the land, this is a unique condition where we have sort of a tenant who's going to design this all out. They came before us and presented this. My only concern, and it's not a big deal, but I'm interested in a condition where this special exception applies to this tenant only and them. Because what I am concerned, what you're saying, is sometimes once somebody builds something out, then let's say they do this for 5 years and then they have somebody else come in, but that person didn't have the neighborhood meeting, didn't come talk to us, there might be new concerns that show up after this business gets off the ground. So I think, from my perspective, I would also be interested. Normally kennels are a freestanding business. They're not in a strip mall. So I think that it's worthwhile to at least come back in the event that there's a new tenant or somebody else who wants to use a similar business. And so I'm done.
They had mentioned, I'd asked them when they first came up about the wall, and they said they're working with an acoustician. And I guess we could make it a condition that they bring their design of the demising wall or the codes department for review, but I don't know how to.
I think we can say we can make a condition that the demising wall be a minimum of STC rating of 60 or something like that.
50 because that's residential.
Yeah.
See, I don't know how to decide.
For
50.
dogs, yeah. I would say 60. I mean, if you really want to make sure it's,
How loud is the dog barking is what your guys are getting in. I was hoping you guys were going to come up with a number, some condition like that, because that's really your field, it's not mine.
I don't have that experience. I only have experience with residential. C50 is, so I wouldn't be able to say definitively what the STC.
You're looking it up, even better.
Well, I think something in the 55 to 60 range would probably be more appropriate for minimizing the effects of a dog barking on the other side of the wall.
But you got a whole bunch of dogs maybe, or you got a few?
Well, yeah. And I think that I am concerned also about the church being on the other side. I know that we didn't hear testimony for that per se, but maybe there's some condition of not having dogs left outside on a Sunday morning or something like that, or on Sundays in general. I don't know. I'm interested in hearing.
Can we reopen and ask them what notice they had for the community meeting? Because I didn't think to ask that question.
Anybody object to reopening the public? Okay. Y'all can stay right there. I think we can ask from there. Because you got to get, okay, no, I'm sorry, wrong. You have to come up. So.
You tried.
I tried to make it easy on you.
The question is what notice?
Yeah, what notice for the community meeting and what have you did you have? I mean, have you talked to the church folks?
We sent mailers out to all of our neighbors the first week of July. And in the mailer, right, it was the mandatory notice. And then we included an invitation to the community meeting, which we held, a week and a half later. No one showed up to that.
And the signs.
What's that?
The signs.
And the sign's been up, since then. The other thing I'd note with the church, there's the chapel area, and then they also own, which is a bit further away from our building, and then they have another property on the structure that doesn't seem to be where congregants would go. So it's a little unclear. It's not a residential building, but we'd also be totally open to, keeping dogs inside during service times. I mean, we haven't heard anything from them.
Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, we had people who are patrons. I mean, I don't think anyone gave an address in this immediate area, which I also thought was interesting. No one who lives over here, no one who is a resident of or a tenant of this strip mall came. All of the addresses were from all over town. And not that their opposition isn't valuable, but I just noted it in my brain that, none of the opposition was people who actually reside or are frequent over there. So I thought that was interesting.
Some way to limit a building use.
Yeah, I know, just looking at the sort of text of this code section 17.16.150C, where it provides that a special exception use permit shall be granted provided that the board finds that the use is so designated, located, and proposed to be operated that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. Well, what kind of, that drew my mind, and I probably sound like a law professor right now, was to the noise and amplified sound code, and having litigated that at times. It's interesting to me that there's not really, I don't believe there is noise ordinance language related to operation of kennels and dog boarding facilities. And so I am mindful of the concern, but I'm also wary of whether we might, especially looking at sort of the nature of kind of how the language in the code requires us, I think, if the standards are met, to approve the special exception. And so where I'm a little bit concerned is if we're sort of reading a extra requirement into it. But that's all. That's sort of where my mind is.
Yeah, I think it does have an impact on the neighboring adjoining properties, though. So I think that's definitely, I think it's under our purview, with it being that, so, or adjacent tenants. It's really the same property, I guess, just different tenants there.
They meet the criteria. That's sort of why I went through that little exercise a little bit ago. And
So does anyone have a motion then to maybe approve this with some conditions? Because it sounds like everybody thinks that maybe we should approve.
You're going to make one of the architects do it, aren't you?
Yeah, we're looking right back to you two. You know, you pegged on that.
Yeah.
May I make a suggestion? I made a note of the conditions that have been kind of discussed so far that you might want to adopt in your motion, and then maybe you will, maybe you won't. There was a condition regarding shading the dog run.
Trees.
Shade strip.
A demising wall, which I think I understood to be SE.
ST, sound transmission class. Yeah, STC.
STC of perhaps 60. And let's see, that the approval would be limited to the current business and applicant, and that there would be no outdoor use of the run during church service.
Maybe no, yeah.
You're crossing that magic line there.
Yeah. Well, and my thought was that maybe they don't stay outside during the church service. They can go out to do stuff, whatever.
I would stay away from the current applicant. It runs with the land, so that aspect would be a little more legally suspect.
Okay.
Okay, so I will try.
Okay.
Motion, I will move to approve the special exception request with the conditions that they build the demising wall to meet STC 60.
Or greater.
Or greater. And provide a shade cover over the dog run. And
is that over all of it or part of the dog run? Or
Like 50% of the dog run? Yeah.
As well as limit the amount of outdoor activity for the dogs during the time that the church has their worship services. And I think that's it. Did I miss anything?
Okay, we
want to limit the number of animals. That was
Limit
the
what?
next part. Do we want to limit the number of residents in their suites?
I think we should limit it to the number they've already proposed.
Yeah.
That is proposed.
Yeah, if it changes substantially from, or changes from where.
Just ask that one question because we.
That seems reasonable. I'll second your motion.
So that's a motion with the three conditions we talked about. Okay. Okay. So
And with the limit of the ones shown in their exhibits.
okay. So and I need to understand. You mean the limit of the number of rooms for dogs, or the number? Because I'm a little. Are you asking to limit the number of dogs they can have in there? Or are you asking to limit the number of rooms for the dogs? And And I'll get my 2 cents in worth on that. I mean, I've just always felt like with businesses, that's kind of self-regulating because, you know, if they get, if somebody goes in there and their dog is, this sounds like a Ritz-Carlton place, that if they go in there and their dog is crammed in there with 3 other dogs, they're probably not going to come back. So
there may be some kind of code on that. I don't know the animal codes that well.
As the representative of the codes department who'd have to enforce your order, I'd rather not go out there and count snoots, so.
Okay. So I'll withdraw that amendment.
So we have the 3 conditions. Okay. All right. So there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Thank you, and thank you to the opposition for coming too.
Yeah, thank you to the opposition.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me ask the board, does anybody, we have 2 more, I believe. Does anybody need to take a break before we do the next 2, or y'all want to kind of soldier on through? Ready to keep going? Okay. All right, we'll keep going. Yeah.
I leave it to your discretion.
Well,
I thought you needed to go.
I appreciate that. I'm good.
Okay, next case.
I thought you needed to go.
No, I'm good. Hey, I'm old.
Case 2022-98 is a request for a special exception for a facility for religious use at the existing church located at 2800 McGavick Pike in the R15 zoning district. For you now is the map, zoning map of this area, and the aerial view of this area. It's located across Bradley Parkway from Opryland Hotel. This is a map confirming that this property is on a arterial street. Here is the front view of this property. Here's the applicant's site plan, and then I've got a sort of blown up, like enlarged view of the area that's the subject of the request. Do we have any members of the public present in opposition to this request today?
We do.
Okay, we do. So then the applicant may come forward, and the applicant and anyone else who may be present in support of this application, you'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation. Please state your name and your address before you begin. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm David Plummer. I am a partner with Centric Architecture. We are the architects on the project. We're at 1206 Buchanan Street, 37208, Nashville. This is Luke Dougal, also with Centric Architecture. Thanks. I think you all are, of course, aware. This appeal is for special exception. As we know, there's no zoning code for churches, so that all churches have to come before your board. The use is existing. This is the headquarters of the Catholic Diocese. There is a sanctuary there that seats 3,000 people. So the idea here is we're not adding a new use, we're not changing the use. We're adding square footage to an existing use. The proposal is that this 3,000-seat sanctuary, there's a lot of fellowship that occurs before and after the service. And right now, they come and they set up tents like at, your kid's travel soccer game, or, the Porter Flea or the farmer's market or whatever, before and after services, and they grill out and they have fellowship, and it's all out in the weather. So this scope of work is just a big fellowship hall that seats 1,000 people, so 1/3 of the existing occupancy of the sanctuary, so that they can have events before and after service that are out of the weather. We're not adding any seats to the sanctuary, not adding another chapel. So from the design standpoint, we think it will actually disperse, reduce, dilute traffic, and that traffic that would be coming and going from a 3,000-person event, more people, some people will come earlier, some people will stay later. It'll spread things out a little bit. So again, I think we're not changing the use, but I just wanted to point that out about traffic, because I do believe that that's a valid concern for all of us who actually live in neighborhoods. Let's see if there's anything else. I think that's the basic data. Do you all have any questions for us?
Can I just ask a little specification? It's going to lessen traffic?
Yes, sir. So
You're going to have a space where you can have a couple thousand people coming and going, and that's going to lessen people.
That's what I said.
Okay.
I'll try and say it a little bit more clearly.
You're an expert.
I'll try and be a little bit more clear. There's an existing church sanctuary that seats 3,000 people. Those 3,000 people come at, say, 10 a.m. for service, and they leave at 11. If some of them can gather at 9 instead of 10, then maybe 600 people will come at 9 and the other 2,400 will come at 10, and so the peak moment would be lesser. But the proposal is not to add any seats to that sanctuary, so it won't seat more than 3,000, so the actual maximum number of people doesn't change. I'm not a traffic engineer.
Just ask that. What type of events are you planning or thinking you're going to have? And you may not even know.
I was going to say, as an architect, I would say that's an operational thing.
Yeah, I understand. But I would have dumped that to someone else's
I'm not
lap,
trying to
too.
hedge. I will say that in terms of our design direction from our client, it was hey, these people set up their tents after service and hang out and grill out and have their lunch and their fellowship in the sun on the parking lot or on the lawn. We'd like to create a covered space where they can have lunch and hang out of the weather. And now, we all know once you got a room, it'll get used. But there is a representative of the diocese here. If there are questions about that they may or may not be able to answer, I don't know. But that's my architectural answer.
On your site data table, I just want to confirm that with this addition, the code would require you to have 750 spaces. You're going to have 1,165. That's accurate. I just want to make sure that.
Yep. I'm looking at my civil engineers,
Okay, so
and they're confirming.
That's
yes, sir.
accurate. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if we're able to reserve any time for answering questions after opposition, I'd love to do that.
I think you're going to have you have 10 minutes. So if you're anybody and questions don't count against your time.
Oh, okay.
So does anybody have any further questions? No. Okay. And you have some rebuttal time. We can let you know what that is. So
Thanks,
thank
John.
you. Yep. Ma'am, did you have some opposition? Okay, if you'll come on up and introduce yourself and give us your address, please, and then you have 10 minutes.
My name is Victoria Veal. I live at 2309 Kimberly Drive, 37214. The diocese is asking for this special exemption. I'm simply going to ask you to table your decision today. That's all I'm asking. There are 4 points of contention to their submitted plans that we, the neighborhood, saw at their meeting on July 27th. They admitted 3 weeks prior to that meeting, so we're at 4 weeks now. Soil samples were done in the land that this is going to be on. This land backs up to or touches the neighborhood. Their engineers admitted in this meeting there's a flooding problem. Their exact answer when we asked, what are we going to do? Because it is not just affecting the land flooding. Already, current day, there are neighbors in my neighborhood who experience flooding in their garages and home because of this flooding. The engineers at the meeting, their exact words when this was brought up was, they don't know how they're going to fix that yet. Okay. Second point of contention. In the meeting, they let it slip beyond this 24,000 square foot structure that is 3 stories, that is going to be an inside entertainment center with outdoor cooking area. They also want to erect a tent. That tent is not on the proposed plans in front of you. It's in none of the drawings. Point 3. In the meeting,
Ma'am, while you're, what is your primary opposition to that particular point of it? Is that?
why is there a tent? I don't want to drive past it on a Tuesday and see blue tarp flapping in my neighborhood. I don't want to go on a walk after work in my neighborhood and see flapping blue tarps.
So just to make sure I understand what you're saying, they're going to have a tent of some type, and they're going to come back and they're going to tell us what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. Is it your understanding that this tent, whether it's a circus tent or whether it's a whatever, is going to be up there full time?
That was my understanding.
Okay.
Because it is not in the drawing that they showed us at the meeting. This was slip of tongue.
Okay.
Any more questions? May I proceed? Okay, thank you. Related to that, we, the neighbors, asked, what materials are you going to use on the outside of this property? Because it's currently brick. What are you going to use? They don't know. They don't know. They have a couple options, but they don't know. The biggest point of contention is point number 4. The plan submitted, they admit, they do not accommodate for their existing parking lot flow to accommodate this addition. The traffic backs up on McGavick Pike on Sundays. I will sit there. It will be 8 cars deep waiting to go in either direction. Since they're going to restructure, they have to restructure it anyways to accommodate this. Why not go ahead and spend this time and redo their parking lot so that the entrance and exit will route people to the Pennington Bend red light that's on McGavick. It's not being used right now. Pardon me, the red light is in use, but the church flow does not use it. They come on into our neighborhoods on a Sunday afternoon. You will see cars come into our neighborhood and turn around because they could not turn left. Even with 8 people, they have 8 gentlemen every Sunday that stand out there and direct traffic. If we're gonna change the parking lot, why not go ahead now and address the traffic and try to get it better for all? So.
Ma'am, where is the parking backing up? And it might help, maybe we can get
You're gonna have to forgive me, that drawing's way too small. Is there a paper document maybe?
We've got one that's a little better that should actually shows Briley Parkway and then it shows McGavick Pike.
Or zoomed out. I'll be the van away. Yeah, I can pull.
Thank you.
God.
A different photo?
Cannot believe
Yes.
It's in our packet, it's 68 of 115.
I think there's one slide that had the overall side, but less blown up.
This one?
There we go. Okay. So, are they all coming in up here? Is that where
Does that say McGavick Pike up top?
There, you got Briley here, you got the exit.
It looks like the dashes right below the parkway of McGavick is the current entrance and exit.
Right.
Pennington Bend's light, you're going to have to forgive me, I can't see from here, but I do think it is off of this picture, just by feet. It's a new oh, thank you so much. It is a new development, as you well know. I'm going to put the time of 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Apartments were built, so this Pennington Bend light is relatively new.
But this is a different so this is a different property though over here that they don't own. They
do. Now at the corner of.
What's your testimony on that?
My proposition is they have these incomplete. I'm going to call them current driveways, or I guess they were old entrances from when it was a convention center. They're not used currently, but those entrances would easily give them access to Pennington Bend's red light. They're just not currently being used. Currently, they have grass growing in all the crevices.
Okay, so the traffic is backing up there by the entrance on McGavick Pike.
Oh, we're way back. I won't even make it to the entrance. We're way back here into the neighborhood of McGavick Pike. From about 8 a.m. on Sunday morning till I have standing plans to go see my goddaughter every Sunday. I know that if I'm running late, don't leave. Don't leave. You might as well sit at the house until well after noon. Because also the light, they're just concerned about the traffic on McGavick. The light at Briley and McGavick backs up as well because you have 3,000 seats trying to turn onto Briley. So now as a neighbor of the neighborhood, I've sat in a line with 8 people to come through. Now I got to get to the line of 3,000 people.
So if I can add, so I understand the traffic issues, I certainly do. But I mean, Two Rivers Baptist Church was there for 40 years before it became Catholics. I mean, they had people, I mean, it's not a new thing, not a new issue. It's been that way
I'm not asking to deny it.
Okay.
I'm simply saying, please table this.
Okay.
They have these 4 points of contention that are not addressed at all.
Okay.
Give them time to fix these problems. Fix the flooding.
Yeah.
So that we, the neighbors, are okay. Fix this parking lot. Just give them time to fix the plans.
Right. Yeah, I certainly hear that. And I think, I'm sure that Mr. Hargis could speak to the fact that regardless of what we decide today, they still have to go through the whole stormwater review process. There are other things. This is just for the use of this lot as a church building.
We decided to go ahead and start this now.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get that. And I know that they're hearing all these things from you, all the representatives they have here today as well. So, okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
Glad I'm not the folks coming up in just a second here to get quizzed.
Because you do have questions.
I do have questions, but I have questions.
Ma'am, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your paper copy. I appreciate that.
So if the applicant would come on back up, and how much time do we have left on? 7 minutes. And again, so you'll know, when you're asked questions, that time is not counted towards your 7 minutes. So I think.
May I, Mr. Chair?
Sure, absolutely.
Guys, let's talk about the tent. I've lived with the tent across from where I live by a particular group, and it is irritating. You hit a good thing, so just talk to me about, do you plan on leaving the tent up the whole time?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But so we printed copies of the rendering that we showed at the neighborhood meeting and misunderstood that we had to have enough for everyone in the room. We have enough for all of the commissioners, so I'm going to hand this to you so you can see. To sort of touch through the points. Well, I'll start with the tent.
Let's start with my tent.
Yes, start with the tent. So as we mentioned.
Trees and tents, yeah.
The room seats.
Soft spot for some of us up here, trees, tents,
no problem. No problem. The room seats 1,000 people. The sanctuary seats 3,000. So we figured there's a chance that once, maybe twice a year, they're going to want to have an event for more than 1,000 people. So we're putting some concrete anchors in the ground where you can tent the lawn that's outside the building for a very special event, a very big event. But there's, they don't own said tent yet, and
you're not doing like a blue tarp kind of thing here. That's not the intent.
No, this would be, Nashville tent and awning, custom-made aluminum frame, set it up for Easter Sunday and maybe one other event. Does that
so
address?
If you have Pope Francis coming tooling in,
they'll probably set up the tent. That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, it would not be a permanent thing. If I can touch on the other points.
Sure. Yeah, you've got
relative to flooding.
7 minutes.
The direction downhill on this is toward Briley.
Pardon me, can you say it again?
The neighborhood is uphill of this building. So water, and as Mr. Lawless said, the stormwater, Metro stormwater, all of the normal civil regulations will be addressed, of course. Any flooding in the neighborhood's uphill of this building, so and we're not adding parking. The parking's already there. So it's really just putting a building on this area of lawn.
Are you ending up with more or less impervious surface than you currently have?
There will be more impervious surface because the footprint of the building is going on what is currently lawn. There's some parking that is being pulled up to turn into lawn, but there is a net increase, small net increase, probably 0.2 acres, 0.18, something like that.
Okay.
Our civil engineer can make my numbers real, but yeah.
Did you feel, I don't see a traffic study, so I'm assuming you didn't do one. Did you feel like one was necessary?
I'm going to defer to my civil engineer and see if he says anything different. I will say we weren't adding seats.
Sure. Is there a traffic study?
Did you hear that, sir?
I did not hear that, no.
He said that they coordinate with NDOT during final site plan review to see if they would request it. If they do, it'll be performed.
Okay, so I'm assuming NDOT did not require traffic impact study.
We wanted to.
Okay, he's coming up to talk, so we can.
He was trying to avoid it, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I don't blame him.
I don't either.
Tell us about the what you did with NDOT. I guess what I'm trying to find out is, would it be helpful to have a traffic study, or as NDOT already said, we've looked at this preliminarily with data we have, and we don't think you need one. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
So Joe Haddock, CSDG 2305 Klein Avenue. Good afternoon. Just doing our due diligence with a final site plan, we would look at a traffic impact study. Most of the time with a church or religious institutions, you're basing that study off the number of seats in the sanctuary, right? This is almost a supplemental use, what is this expanded conditional use. So we don't think we're going to see any change to what a study would show. It's almost to just help us, and we have it in the can, right? Because we're not expanding the number of seats, there's no change. High likelihood NDOT wouldn't even require a traffic study with our final site plan.
It is highly likely they will.
Would not.
Would not.
Because we're not expanding the main use of the
They're
building.
basing it on the seats inside the sanctuary where people will be seating, not on this area, which is not that. It's a area for people to congregate.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And you had stated earlier that the capacity of the additional space would be 1,000?
1,000,
okay.
Yes, sir.
And there's 3,000 seats in the sanctuary?
That's correct.
Okay.
And of course, the sanctuary is fixed seat, sloped floor. Yep. This is flat floor, so they're different uses.
Right. Okay.
But they would be used both potentially at the same time?
No, sir. No.
Good. Okay.
And that's exactly my point, is that was not the intent.
Thank you.
So they're going to have the same fight that First Pres has had with everybody that's around them over no kill. It's been going on for 40 years. I've lived in the city, but that's not my problem.
Is there anything that can be done to address the issue of the 8 cars lining up?
We can certainly look at that with our traffic study, right, as described, but, it's, churches are akin to same thing everybody's dealt with, taking your kids to school, right? You get an hour or two every day where school's in and out, no different than a religious institution on the weekends or Wednesday nights or Thursday nights.
And the opposition did mention the Pennington Bend light. Is that owned by the same people, or is that a different property? Can you speak to that?
Unfortunately, that property is owned by Ryman Hospitality Properties.
Okay. So people own Opryland, all that kind of stuff. Gotcha.
Where is Pennington Bend?
It's this one out here.
If you look at the site plan, it's on the left. Yeah.
Which is.
Any further questions? Okay, y'all have anything else to?
Yeah, I'd love to address some of the other concerns that were expressed.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to cut you off. I thought.
No, it's no problem. I wanted to answer the questions about traffic. So I mentioned flooding, that the neighborhood is uphill of this site. it was noted that this would be a 3-story facility, but it's actually a 1-story facility, and that it would be.
Say that again,
This is a 1-story space, single story.
It's not 3-story.
It is not 3 stories.
Just a tall story, right? It's just a.
It is,
right.
Yes, it's because it's a
ultra-tall
1,000-seat
space.
room, so the ceiling height's relatively high, but it's shorter than the existing building. So the existing structure is taller than the proposed addition, and the proposed addition is a single-story addition. The term inside entertainment center was used. It's a fellowship hall. I don't know where that came from, but I just wanted to be clear that that's not part of our intent. It's not going to be a nighttime video arcade or anything like that. The tent, I wanted to share the rendering. I'm sorry that that wasn't part of our initial application. The renderings weren't complete, but just so that you can see the intent, you have that image now. And in terms of material, the material is brick. That's also, you can see in the renderings, it's white, so it's not very explicit, but you can see it's brick.
It will be brick.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, so now beyond that, if there are questions, I'm happy to help clarify.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from the applicants? Okay, well, thank you. You might want to just stay up there.
No problem.
Sometimes we reopen for questions, but we'll close the public hearing and discuss.
Nobody likes traffic control at a religious institution on a big highway on Wednesdays or Sundays or even Saturday nights. So, I mean, I understand the local opposition on that. Where I'm having some issues, I'll be honest with you, is traffic study. It is more people. I mean, it's busy over there. I mean, believe it or not, I'm actually familiar with this part of town. Stormwater is going to deal with the flood issue. That's outside, as far as I'm concerned. They're smarter than I am.
Well, yeah, and they are. I don't know if the amount of impervious surface they're adding will trigger significant stormwater stuff.
They put some trees in. Detention ponds, guys. Are you planning? I mean,
public hearing.
Yeah, well, it's
Probably.
I didn't ask that. I apologize.
That's all right. Anybody object to reopening the public hearing for questions? Okay, question for you.
Yeah, detention water quality in accordance with current regulations probably be a combination of below ground and above ground ponds.
Will the amount of impervious surface require a full stormwater kind of review and everything that you're doing?
Yeah, the amount of disturbance we're proposing, we'll have to go through the full stormwater review.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing again.
Yeah, I mean, I know the stormwater will do their thing, and they are. Well, I'll just leave it at that. And as far as the traffic, I do understand the concern. But yeah, like as Mr. Lawless said, that happens with every church, and it is pretty typical. And I mean, my experience working with churches that the occupancies are kind of considered by the largest one-time use. Thinking that those people will move about the building to the fellowship hall or to the Sunday school classes or whatever. That's kind of how a lot of times the occupancy is whether it's codified like that or not is kind of handled. So
it's intense at times.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
yes,
correct. Yes. I mean, yeah. I know that the opposition was concerned about exterior materials and things like that, and I take this for what it's worth, but I'm familiar with the work of these architects, and I've seen some of the other Catholic diocese buildings, and I have no reason to believe that it won't be a nice finished product. Probably above the code minimum on that. So.
Yeah, on the parking thing, I mean, I think there's a big church down for me, Christ the King, and on Sunday, the neighborhood gets kind of crowded, but the advantage is it's not a commercial area where Monday through Saturday, I've got people going in and out. So I kind of view it as, back to your point about churches, I mean, there's a little bit of a plus side on them, or maybe more than a little bit of a plus side, because you do get, if there were something else there, you could have more traffic on a regular basis. But I get the neighbors' frustration. I mean, it is, you don't want to be going somewhere and getting backed up. I mean, I don't know. It just, we could ask for a traffic study. I don't, and that might be that's an option we have. And
that's my only really major concern, to be perfectly candid with you. I've lost those votes before. I mean, I haven't even asked for any trees yet. Which is my normal ask about this time. But we're not at that point. So, I mean, how hard would it be to do a traffic study before you take it a whole lot further, or if we made it conditioned on that?
Right now, school just started or about to start back. Probably take 4 to 6 weeks, if not longer.
I mean, I got my answer on the tent. Good job. But I can see the neighborhood, the point of contention is going to be nonstop. Stormwater will let them take care of that stuff, but it is going to be that having trouble getting in and out, and that's just something you're going to live with, and you're never going to make everybody happy, ever. If you're down from Christ the King, that's a disaster.
I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, as far as the traffic goes, my biggest thing is that this has been a more intense use for 40 years. They're actually getting rid of parking spaces, so hypothetically, you'll have less cars coming here, each time. So
I would actually support getting the traffic study done. Mm-hmm.
I feel a whole lot happier conditioning and getting the traffic study.
I think, to me, that's a reasonable ask. We have neighborhood concern here, and I think it's a reasonable ask. Even though they may not require one ultimately.
Public hearing's still open, right?
I forget.
That's okay. That's cool.
He can move over here if he wants to.
The public hearing's still open, right?
No.
We can make it
open. Is there somebody here from the diocese or the congregation who can speak to what the average attendance is going to be, what the average attendance is on at a service?
Boyd, if you've noticed, everybody's trying to avoid
but I think that part of the concern is that if this is a one-time use that's going to have 1,000 people, what's the average attendance on a Sunday, and so is the use as proposed going to be different? So please state.
Reopen.
Yeah,
and nobody objects to reopen the public hearing. Okay, so.
And if you could state your name and address.
Melinda Odin. I work at 2800 McGavick Pike at the Diocese, Nashville, Tennessee 37214. I'm Director of Facilities and Technology. And this space it's not for additional 1,000 people. It's for the people who are already there at the church service. So what they do today, most of it's Hispanic ministry, and I don't know if you've ever seen those, but they're family oriented. It's beautiful, and so it's so they can have, if it's raining outside, they could eat inside rather than putting up their tents and cooking their food and then eating there. So it's not, as far as the parking goes, you're exactly right. I think Two Rivers has a lot more volume than we currently do. We have, I don't know if this is exact, but 4 services or 3 services on Sunday. And you do have the one that has more people in it. And that one, there is a lot of traffic. But they have at least 7 or 8 parking attendants. It's miraculous to see how they do that. They have little go-karts, they block things off, they have traffic, so they really do it well. But this 1,000 people, it's not an additional 1,000 people, it's the people who are already there. And what Dave was trying to say was that they're not going to all be leaving at the same time. So that's why traffic's less, because they're going to, after the service, they're going to sit there and fix their food and have family time. So it does stagger it rather than it all come at the same time.
Does, do any of the services that you mentioned have 1,000 or more people that are attending the actual services?
I know they never hit the 3,000. There is one on Sunday. I don't know if it hits the 1,000 or not. If it doesn't, it might be close to 1,000. I'm not really positive about that.
That's fine.
I'd love it to be 1,000 plus, but we'll.
But the full sanctuary is 3,000.
Right.
Yes.
It holds 3,000.
Got it.
And they do stagger their services out so they don't have everyone, at the same service.
Okay, thank you. That was all I had.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing and discuss some more.
Yeah, I think part of the reason I had those questions is, if the use is not really going to be, if there's already close to that number that's going to be there, I'm not sure the traffic study as a condition is going to change.
But is it going to draw more? And I think that
is this going to be an attraction that's going to draw more people out?
And it's going to be an attraction. And I hope it is.
Yeah.
You want to have a good community. That's the whole purpose of it. Or they wouldn't be doing it, I hope.
And you do. And in today's world, they have their 3 or 4 services.
We close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Anybody have a question for?
That's the only reason is just you answer the one question for the neighbors, because if NDOT says, everything's cool, they're never going to be totally satisfied. But at least we've covered all of what I think we're required to do. Otherwise, like I said, they answered my question about the tent, and it's just people coming in and out.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not a traffic light would work on McGavick Pike, but I think the traffic study is going to tell us that, and that's why I would support that.
It'd be a whole lot easier. Then it's not us doing it. We're not micromanaging.
That motion.
Gosh.
It doesn't sound to me like it. I get the concept. I don't think it is going to draw more people. And I do think there's going to be some benefits in terms of, everybody's not going to be rushing out at 10:30 at the same time. But I also think that when we have neighborhood concerns, that we ought to err on being attentive to those. And I'm not sure that, I don't see that a traffic study hurts. I know it costs some money, but, this is a big project. I don't think it's a
They're going to do it anyway at some point.
Percentage of what they're going to have to spend. And, but it's not a case where I feel, and I have had cases where I felt like we just have to have a traffic study. To me, it's more of a, it's the safe way, and I think that's the way you feel about it.
Okay, you're going to make a stab at it?
Okay. Sure. I will move to approve the special exception request with the condition that a traffic study be performed to determine whether or not a light is appropriate on the entry and exit out of McGavick Pike.
Or whatever improvements that.
Yep.
Or-
Second.
Okay, usually they will have the applicant come back with a traffic study, as I recall, but you want this just subject to, it's approved as long as they have a traffic study, and the traffic study
meets the criteria.
Says that they don't need a traffic light at that intersection.
Or similar.
Or if they do, then they've got to put it in.
Make adjustments based on the traffic study. So, okay.
And we punted and let stormwater worry about flooding.
So there won't be, it's essentially, we're not deferring it while they get a traffic study.
No.
Okay, all right.
NDOT can handle it from there. And that.
Okay, great point. Okay.
I was also trying to limit the scope of the traffic study. Maybe it'd be less expensive.
Sure. Okay, well, I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussions? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the last case on our docket today is case 2022-103. This is a request for variance from the street setback requirements for property located at 2214 Valley Avenue in the R10 zoning district. Contextual setback at this property is 82 feet, and the applicant is seeking to build at a 40-foot setback. For you now is the zoning map of this area. This is an aerial view. I've included a slope map since some of the topography was referenced in the application. This is the current structure on the property.
Can we see that one more time, please? Thank you. Okay.
This is a view of the property from, really kind of from the property next door. So you'd be looking directly at the property at the end of the street in this view. Here's the topographic survey that was submitted by the applicant. This survey indicates the contextual setback lines along this street. And here are some slides with the site plan that's been submitted. This slide here. Okay. I don't believe anyone's here in opposition, Mr. Chair, so the applicant may come forward and you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation.
I was not trying to insult your property, I promise you that.
It's all good. Josephine Safford, and we're located at 41 Peabody Street, Nashville, Tennessee, so Nashville resident. I'm here today to request a variance for the front setback due to two hardships. For one, the topography at the property that is currently zoned R10, so duplex eligible. The site is 1.32 acres large, and the topography, and I do have some additional copies if you would like. I don't know if that's helpful, but essentially it's the topography takes up about over 120, 130 feet in the rear of the property, which makes this very difficult to work with because in addition, there's a second hardship that is an conservation overlay. So there's another copy, and that was sort of partly shown in those sketches, that the conservation overlay essentially makes this lot unbuildable because the building envelope, given the current 85-foot front setback, contextual setback, would allow too narrow of a building envelope. So we're requesting to have the front setback be 40 feet instead of 85, and that would allow us to work with this property, and then also leave the trees alone in the back, in the rear. So we would be able to conserve that tree line.
So let me ask you a question about, because when I read your application, it says due to a conservation area. I'm familiar with a conservation easement. We've never had one come up here in Davidson County that I know of, because I guess we're so urban. But I saw your topographical survey, and I saw the slope conditions. But so tell us, I don't quite understand the conservation area. Is that some kind of dedicated land that cannot be built upon?
Correct. So there's actually an adjacent lot behind it owned by Viacom. It's a larger, essentially developer. I think they're looking to put in 90 units.
So I didn't see anything. I see this, but I didn't see any legal document in the file that. I think you're identifying to us two hardships. One is the topography, but the other is this conservation area. And I see this, but I didn't see anything in the package that indicated there was any kind of easement overlay, conservation easement overlay, or.
So I did have discussions here with planning with Logan and.
Can you speak into the microphone? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Sorry. I did have conversations with planning here with Logan, and ultimately I was told that the conservation overlay makes that area unbuildable because it is for the purpose of conserving those trees.
So okay, I mean, I'm with you on the concept, but I'm just trying to figure out what's the authority.
Mr. Chairman, I can probably shed some light on that.
Yeah,
The
can you do that? I'm
conservation
trying to-
that the applicant's talking about is our long-range policy plan. The National Next plan spells out slopes and sensitive areas, and they label that as conservation policy. And so the Stormwater Office looks at the long-range plan to tell applicants, hey, you can't disturb this because of that policy. And I think that's where the applicants come from, rather than a conservation easement like we generally think in the law.
But there's a metro authority that is basically saying this red area should not be disturbed.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
And you have the slope, and you also have the slope issue.
Correct, yeah, so it's twofold, and then essentially, I mean, I suppose Viacom on that rear end adjacent property, they're looking to, I guess, just have some walkways created through that conservation overlay, and I was told that essentially they as well could not build on that part of their lot, and so that's essentially the exact same concept here. And so therefore, if we have a 40-foot front setback, then our problems will be resolved.
What is the square footage for each house that you're proposing to build?
We're roughly at 2,300 square feet.
For both? Are they connected or are they separate?
Detached.
So I'm just going to put I looked at this, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there just so everybody knows. I understand the hardships related to this property. My concern is that some of what your issue with this property is not the conservation overlay, it's not necessarily all the sloping in the back, which all exists, but some of it may be that what you're proposing to build may not work on this particular property. And my colleagues, because they are so tired of me, God bless, that they quote me often saying certain horses aren't made for certain courses. And so when I saw this, I did think that, because I'm like, this is in the North Nashville, this is near Bordeaux, and parts of it are wooded. And so I understood all of that. So I guess my question is, is your request narrowly tailored to the conditions of the land? Because I think 82 to 40 is a big request, and I'm just wondering if some of it is not because of what you proposed. And we normally get a site plan of what these houses will look like and where they are, and we don't have that either. So those are my questions.
Sure. So, I mean, we basically took the approach to kind of sketch this out ourselves because we understand what we would need in terms of a building envelope there, just to not incur further costs if we cannot get this variance, because otherwise, without this variance, this property essentially doesn't have the ability to go up to its maximum use, so.
Okay.
What's the setback of the existing structure that's there?
That is, one second, so.
I won't call it a house, it's not quite much of anything. Structure.
So actually, the current property, or the current house that you see, there was a fire before.
Yeah.
That actually is right now encroaching that contextual setback. So that is currently at about roughly 80 feet.
Okay.
And not 85.
So the current structure is at 80 feet? Is that what, okay.
And is this, it looks like this is on the end of a street, it's kind of like a cul-de-sac or something like that there, just the end of a street?
It's just the end of the street, and so we will be looking to get a shared driveway in there. And I had the conversation here also with the council lady, Quante Toombs, and so that approach of asking for the variance essentially was also guidance from her.
Okay. Did Ms. Toombs provide any kind of recommendation, or, because we didn't have anything from her in our packet, I don't think, so. What was her conversation with you there?
We're very active in the Bordeaux area, right around the corner as well, and so it was part of a Zoom call where we covered several properties, and so that was part of taking that action today.
Okay.
Any questions now? Sure, you have questions, yeah.
And I'm looking at the topographical map. And there's one great big pine tree. But none of the other trees are identified and help me out. I mean, I'm just trying to, again, you were smart enough to mention trees right off the bat, which is a smart thing with some of us up here. I'm just, it's a bizarre lot. I mean, it's up and down. And I'm just trying.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not meaning to pick on her property. I'm really not.
No, go ahead.
But I'm trees hold soil. They keep things from sliding away. They help fix the air, all sorts of things. I mean, it is a steep slope lot, or at least it appears to be. At least that's one of your hearts. Oh, it's the same thing I've been staring at. Thank you.
Sir, I mean, we would like to get the opportunity to also essentially clean up that existing structure, which essentially would only make sense to take this property up to maximum use. Otherwise, as a developer, it just it's not justifiable. And that's why I'm doing this on behalf of the current owners, the boroughs. And they as well are living actually along basically the same street. So Valley Avenue turns into Lloyd Avenue.
Any more questions from the applicant? Okay, thank you, ma'am. We're going to close the public hearing and discuss.
Looking at the aerial it's in the PowerPoint presentation, and there really is no context. So this contextual street setback is based on somewhat random setbacks there. There are two.
Houses. I mean, I see those houses across the street. I see the ones beside it. Like, I know that's in a wooded area. I guess my only thing is like
across the street are actually backyards.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, that's the backyard of houses.
That's Courtney Avenue. I know.
Oh, I can tell. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying there, like, because the contextual things kind of keep the houses in a line, but on this side of the street, the houses are definitely not in the line. They're kind of all over the place.
As part of the application, of course, we sit down with the applicants and kind of walk through, and that's when I gave the contextual setback. I did, as you look at this aerial, the house that sits way back, I tossed it out of the equation because it's it's an outlier. But to your point, the context is really set by the three houses at the corner coming back toward the subject site, and then the next two sit deep. So in my analysis, I had to do the two deeper ones and the ones to come up with the 80 feet. But you're right, it's, Councilman Pulley's bill, his new bill, remember we had the case so his new bill will give me a little more strength to go past the 4 to find a more predominant pattern, because if like right there in those 4, they're kind of staggered, but the rest of the street's much more in line, then I can go grab those, but I just don't really have that here.
Well, it looks like just from the survey provided that the one of those that's closer down there that's on the survey is 38 feet, which is more in line with what they're at.
Yeah, and the ones across the tree line are actually the backyards of the other street. Because I was confused by that too when I first looked at them. I was like, well, look across the road, but it was really the backyards of those.
It definitely seems to me like hardships exist here. And maybe I can get past it with some help from the other board members, but I always feel a little uncomfortable when I'm hearing there's going to be 2 units built, but we don't have a site plan, and I'm just struggling I'm looking at what's been submitted, and I'm just not getting a clear picture of.
That's where I am. You said it better than me. I think there's a hardship, but I just like having more information. So.
Is it self-imposed?
And that could be it too, but I wasn't going to say that, Tom. I was just going to say that I think that there's a hardship. I agree with our chairman, and I think that there should be some variance. I just don't like when there's these outrageous, these are very unique conditions, and so this is the case for a variance. I just prefer, I don't like it when people are like, oh, this is really bad, so you should just give us what we're asking for and then don't provide other information. Just because it's obviously a unique lot doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the information that we typically would require of anybody else.
I'm going to sound like a judge. The burden of persuasion is upon the applicant. I'm hearing my fellow commissioners say there's no persuasion to where you're comfortable with yet.
Yeah, but I agree that there's a hardship.
There's a hardship, no question about it. It's just convince us. And
I just want to connect the hardship to the request, I think. I need more information to connect it. That's it.
Should you come back?
So, sounds like a motion to defer until we have a site plan would be.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Yeah, is that?
What do you, any objection to open up the public hearing so we can ask the applicant? So where this is going is you're going to need a site plan, it sounds to me like. How long would you need to get that done? Because we can defer it 2 weeks. I don't know that you can get a site plan done in 2 weeks, or I think we can even defer it indefinitely until you let us know.
For us, essentially, to really move forward, I mean, we would really need essentially that variance in order to even justify any further costs.
Could you want
Just
2
essentially,
weeks,
we
or
would.
do you want more than 2
Well,
weeks?
if they're doing building over there.
We can defer it to the next meeting, which is 2 weeks.
Sure.
Okay, so, all right, we'll close the public hearing. So the applicant's okay with deferring it for 2 weeks. So there's a motion to defer, let me make sure I'm right. Who made the motion, by the way? I know somebody,
I did.
okay. So it's a motion to defer for
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Until our next meeting.
Until we,
The
and
17th?
we're
18th, okay.
requesting the applicant to bring back a site plan. So, okay, is there a second on that motion? Second, okay. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Aye, okay, that passes.
I'll let you explain it to her now.
I think you understand. The site plan showing where the houses are going to be located is what we're looking for in the meeting, at the meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you. Okay, do we have any further business? Okay, we're adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Great.